The Transformers SKYBOUND series just keeps getting better and better, dog. I am locked in! I covered issue 1 already, even though I'm like 3 years late, and this video probably won't be getting pushed into the algorithm because of that, but check out the video in the top right corner if you want to see my analysis on it. And if you want me to cover issue 3, then we at least have to crack 50 likes on this video. I'm sure we can do it. With that being said, my beautiful / handsome viewer, subscribe if you want, hype the video, and yeah. Our story today starts with the one and only Robo-Jesus, and he is geeking out at Mother Nature, the natural beauty of what we call Earth, admiring frogs, birds, the local fauna and flora, everything. It's all breathtaking. He takes a step forward and he suddenly hears a crunch. He looks down at his blue Tims and sees that he accidentally stepped on a small innocent deer, killing it instantly and sending it to meet Batman's parents. Our good boy Optimus Prime is understandably distraught. He picks the poor animal up and cradles it in his arms, grieving for the loss of life, lamenting over his mistake. The amount of emotion Prime displays in the scene, man. That's why he's my GOAT. It's so good. Spike saw everything go down. Okay, wait, that's some poor taste. But he comforts Optimus, letting him know that it's okay. It was an accident, but Optimus disagrees, stating that he was unaware of the fragility of life on this Earth, and he should have known better. Back on his home planet, everything is metal. His grippers don't leave markings on the ground wherever he steps. Being on this new, organic world, it's just throwing off his equilibrium. Spike sits on his thoughts for a moment and starts asking Optimus Prime about, well, Optimus Prime. Where did he get that name from? Robo-Jesus humors Spike and goes on a yap session, stating that the Prime in his name was passed down from previous leaders, and it designates his spot in the Autobot hierarchy. He kinda wishes he came up with the name himself, but you know, it is what it is. There's only so much you can do about that. Prime asks Spike about his name, and Spike tells him that his mother would call him that because his hair would stick up as a kid. But Optimus is like, bro, a mom? A dad? What the fuck are those? He just doesn't understand the concept of having a mother and a father. It's completely foreign to him. He has mommy and daddy issues. But one concept that he definitely knows all too well is the concept of family. Despite losing his mother at a young age, Spike tells Optimus that his family does indeed live on Earth and starts inquiring about where Optimus came from while staring directly at the spaceship currently sticking out of the mountains like it was a nasty pimple or something. Dog, that shit is lodged in there, man. Oh my god. Prime begins telling Spike a story about Cybertron, a world completely made out of metal. For over 1,000 years before he was created, there was peace. Everyone lived amongst themselves in harmony. But nowadays, not so much. War. A concept we as a human race know all too well. Conflicts rose across the planet, stemming from Cybertronians being consumed by greed, wanting all the power to themselves. But according to Optimus, this all really began happening when a faction called the Decepticons popped up out of nowhere. We even get to see our first glimpse at the Nigatron in the middle of a flashback sequence. Optimus goes on and says that he and the Autobots were fighting the Decepticons for over 200 years, confirming everything Jetfire said about the conflict in the last issue. But the amount of bodies racked up was astronomical, insanely radical, one might even say mathematical, but I'm not a rapper, I swear to God. But the amount of fatalities here was so bad that it forced the remaining Autobots to give up Cybertron to the Decepticons, while they traveled throughout the galaxy to find a new way to retake what was once their home. Optimus goes even further, stating that it was only then when the sentient Black Air Force himself, Nigatron, came along and tried to end this comic series before it even truly began, making the Autobots lose control of the ship due to the ongoing carnage. Entering Earth's range was the last thing Prime remembered before passing out, while we see Nigatron gripping Prime up and gouging one of his eyes out with his left thumb. Damn, that is so hardcore, dog. I love it! Fucking love it. Optimus thanks Spike for helping out in that battle we saw in our last issue, stating without him, everyone would have been cooked. Spike consoles Prime about the loss of Bumblebee, and Prime, still cradling the deceased deer in his arms, solemnly mentions the concept of family once more. Damn, honestly, this issue could end right here and I'd genuinely be satisfied. I mean, I know we're still at the start of the SKYBOUND series, but I must say, I am in love with the writing and characterization of everyone so far. This shit got me hyped, man. What? Tofu? Oh, buddy. Sorry, my my cat decided to come in on recording. But as I was saying, this shit got me hyped, man. I can't wait to read more. Suddenly, Optimus gets jump scared by Cliffjumper, serving as the role of the government-mandated kid appeal character. Since, well, we don't talk about what happened to Bumblebee last episode. He got his shit blown smooth off. Cliffjumper then gets jump scared by Spike, exclaiming, "What is that thing?" Optimus introduces the two to each other and Spike reaches his hand out, going in for a handshake. But Cliffy just stares at Spike and straight up says, "No sir, I am good," while hitting one of the nastiest poses I have ever seen. Look at him, dude! Cliffy gets jump scared by Carly, and the two have a little bit of a back and forth before formally introducing themselves to each other. Just like Optimus, Cliffy isn't used to being surrounded by organic life because, well, he's a Cybertronian, so yeah, this is all new to him. We cut to the gang reuniting with Ratchet, who is giving everyone the rundown on their current situation. Luckily for the Autobots, Jetfire kept their Cybertronian technology intact when he gave the bots their Earth modes, and being stationed down in the quarry allowed the medic to use the spare materials to, restore some of the fallen warriors back to health. Prime asks how long until everyone is back at full strength, and, well, that's the problem. The last of the Energon reserves were used up to restore Cliffjumper, but that's it. That's all they got. Ratchet goes on to explain what Energon is to Spike and Carly, basically saying it's the key natural resource for keeping Transformers alive. Carly is busy spray painting a mural of Optimus Prime on her van. Also, keep note of this because this will be important later. But Ratchet and Optimus share ideas with one another on how to keep their forces satiated, eventually considering using the Matrix of Leadership, but ended up canceling on that plan because the Matrix would have drained Prime's life force while bringing everyone else back to life. The risk of doing this was far too great, so, Cliffy instead gets an interesting thought. If the Autobots are having this problem, with the lack of Energon, then surely the Decepticons are facing the same issue too. The survivors of the attack on the power plant from the last video are seen explaining everything they can to the police, describing what appeared to be a flying robot that looked like a plane. The cops honestly didn't believe whatever the fuck they were hearing. Sparky, who survived Starscream's attack, points out that he was the giant bastard who slimed out Davey earlier. The cop lets the guys know that he's gonna send in the detectives to figure everything out, but Sparky furiously interjects, exclaiming that they need to send in the fucking army instead. But suddenly, Skywarp crashes down on the scene, and the rest of the surviving Decepticons are right behind him, with Soundwave carrying an energy transfer module, stealing it from the Ark. The Autobots wanted to use it to convert the natural resources on whatever planet they landed on in the Energon, but since it's no longer in their hands, Soundwave figured his team might as well make the best use of it. The cop from earlier is panicking, letting his trigger fingers sing, but his measly pistol is doing nothing to these Decepticon bastards. It's doing 0 damage. GG's. Spike yells at him to get back, but Starscream squishes the cop like he was a fucking bug, with Sparky once again having no choice but to watch in horror at all of this going down. Soundwave activated the machine, and Skywarp's giddy ass started geeking out. Unbeknownst to the dirty threesome of Decepticons, a fighter jet pilot with the codename Frosting in the US military hears about a disturbance in the force. Area. Sorry, the Star Wars side of my brain is talking right now. Oops. But yeah, Frosting has another person with him, with the guy in the second seat in the jet, whose name being Duke. The two start to head out and investigate what's going on. A fun fact, by the way, these two characters, or Duke at the very least, is a reference to the G.I. Joe comic set in the same universe as this one. I found that to be kind of cool, to be honest. I know G.I. Joe and Transformers were always connected in one way, shape, or form, but, this makes the story feel bigger, letting us as the readers getting more immersed into the world. It just feels, more alive, with overarching story arcs and, all that kind of stuff. But alas, we take a peek at the Decepticons again, and they notice Frosting's fighter jet coming in hot. Yo, I can't take myself seriously. Starscream transforms and rises up to face these human nuisances, engaging in a dogfight with them. The two opposing jets are locked in, sending machine gun fire to both sides, until Starscream transforms mid-fight and swats the fighter jet away like it was a fucking mosquito. The guys inside of the plummeting jet are trying their damnedest to eject from the doomed vehicle, where Frosting finally pulling the ejection cord. Duke and Frosting safely ejected themselves from the fighter jet until Starscream says hi to Frosting while staring directly through his soul and suddenly claps his hands together, immediately sending him to meet Davy beyond the pearly gates. Holy shit. Duke watches as his friend gets slimed out by the giant robot, and Starscream rushes in, ready to make sure that there's no witnesses. Duke presses a button, suddenly transforming his parachute into a two-winged jetpack while gripping his flare gun. Starscream goes in for the kill, but Duke dodges the attack, shooting a flare directly into Starscream's optics. He temporarily blinded him. Duke escapes, and Screamer is left disoriented, annoyed at the inconvenience, and transforms, leaving the scene while exclaiming that every single human will, well, one way or another, be dead. Damn! Dog, what'd you say fuck me for? I'm just covering the comic! Back on the ground, Skywarp is busy toying with Sparky, wanting to squish him as he takes off in one of the police cars. But right at that moment, Soundwave warns Skywarp to watch out. He turns around and the same jet that Starscream swatted out of the air crashes directly on top of the Decepticons. So, I have to say it again, but right at that moment, we switch back to the Autobots perspective. The gang hears the explosion and notices a black trail of smoke in the air. Realizing that the smoke trail is coming from the power plant, Spike states that something is wrong. Cliffjumper pulls out a pair of Cybertronian binoculars and spots the Decepticon scum from a distance. Optimus tells Spike that shit is going down. The Decepticons are wasting no time and are trying to lay waste to everything and everyone in sight. They'll do whatever it takes to harvest Energon, even if it means doing so by force. Ratchet tells Prime that they need to find an energy source, because fighting the Decepticons right now is, it's a little sketchy, it's a little iffy. Prime tells Ratchet that they really have no choice though. He brought their civil war to this planet, and with firm resolve in his eyes, Prime states that it is now his duty to protect it. My fucking goat. Prime commands Cliffjumper to stay with Ratchet, and although disagreeing at first because it might be too dangerous, Optimus allows Spike to come with him. He has to see if his dad is okay. He has to do what he can to protect his family. Optimus transforms while Carly protests, stating that this is all crazy. Jumping headfirst into a war with giant robots is absolute insanity. It's best to just go home. Maybe their families are already safe and sound. Spike wasn't trying to hear all of that and drove off with Prime anyway. Stressed out and frustrated, Carly does the same. She has to find her parents too and drives off. So while on the road, excuse that typo in my script, Laserbeak is scouting the nearby area and spots Carly's mystery machine. He immediately locked in on a spray painting of Optimus that Carly made earlier in the comic, setting off his internal alarms and leading him to hunt her down, back to her place. We cut back to Sparky, who rushes inside. The soldier in him snaps, reaching for his crate of army fatigues and arms himself with an M16, ready to take the fight to the Decepticons. Carly makes it home next and runs to her door while screaming for her dad, when an arm reaches out from the front door and drags her inside. It's Sparky, donning his military gear, armed to the teeth with bullets and grenades. He tells Carly that he just arrived, and as she's asking where her dad is, Sparky, with a saddened tone in his voice, tells her that they killed Davy. They killed her father. Damn, that is a crazy way to end this issue. Holy shit. The story just started and the stakes are already this high. Oh my god. Dude. Alright, my bad. I'm geeking out a bit, but this is genuinely good. I am in love with the series so far, and like I said, I just started. But yeah, the next video I'm uploading though, yeah, I think it's time we go back to the Star Wars universe, because it is time to talk about Captain Rex. Yeah, well, long awaited for, the regulars on the channel. It's coming soon. I got y'all. But I love you guys, platonically speaking, of course. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and hell yeah, dog. I'll hopefully see you when the Rex video goes live, whenever that drops. But yeah, man, peace and out.